Will there be a purple pivot? Leader Fan Radio Network.
What do you mean?
And KFAN.com. 2 minutes and 29 seconds past 3 Central Daylight Saving Time. Welcome back. It is the Bumper to Bumper program, the Afternoon Aardvark. I am the host of the program, also known as the A-hole in the afternoon. Dan Barreiro is my real name. I before E, except in Barreiro. Guardsy is the producer of the program, two-time state high school tennis champion. And don't forget, there are 2 A's in Guardsy.
That's right.
A's in Guardsy. And there's no U.
No U.
There's no U as well. People get confused sometimes.
Yeah, very much so.
Although by now, I think you're established enough that most people get the back-to-back A's, right?
Yeah, and if they
most
don't,
people.
I'm old enough where I'm used to it. I don't take offense to it anymore. I understand why they would make the mistake that it's either like the position in basketball or football, or it's like the Wisconsin basketball coach with 1 A. I get why they would make the
It's
mistake.
easy. It's understandable.
I have empathy for it and sympathy.
Well, you've grown.
Yes.
Once upon a time, you'd have flown off the handle. Back in your days, like when you were kind of a junior McEnroe with your temper.
That's right.
On the court, but you grew out of that.
It's 2 A's. Bleep hole.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. You cannot be serious back in the day. You ask, or Ricky Rubio asks, what do I mean by purple pivot? I don't even know. I just like the alliteration of saying purple pivot. It was either going to be purple pivot open, or it was going to be the Kyler Conundrum open. Either one of those. I guess the purple pivot would relate to, is there any possibility we're going to have to pivot at the quarterback position? Or does it continue to feel like it's a fait accompli in a matter of minutes? We will find out that Kyler Murray will be at least a quarterback in Vikings training camp, if not the quarterback coming out of Vikings training camp. Is there any evidence to suggest otherwise right now?
I don't see a ton.
Then why hasn't it been announced?
Well, they got to talk.
What are we waiting for?
You got to do the physical. You got to talk about terms. You got to make sure it's a good match. There's a lot of things that they need to wait for, I would imagine, but I don't really know.
What if we're going to have to do a purple pivot? Are we prepared to do the pivot?
We weren't last year.
We claim we are, but not if Cousins has already gone to Vegas. Now, that hasn't happened yet either, I don't think. Have any quarterbacks landed that are still looking for a chair in the musical chairs game?
As of today?
I don't think today there's been anything new, correct?
Not much, yeah. Cooper Rush is available. The Ravens released him.
He beat us once, remember?
He did.
I went to that game. It might have been the last game I've been to.
It was a Cowboy game, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it a Thursday night game?
It was definitely a night game. Yeah, it was a night game.
I remember listening to that game when we were driving around on a Halloween hayride going, Cooper Rush?
Is that true?
The Gophers beat Cooper Rush, if you recall, in one of the Rest in Peace Quitclaim Bowls.
That's true.
When he played for Central Michigan, I think. So he's available.
We could also go with the Murray melodrama.
Okay.
That's decent alliteration. 612 guy writes more like purple paranoia.
Ooh.
Oh, that's ominous sounding. That's Nolan is checking in from Jackson, Minnesota. Where's Jackson, Minnesota?
Jackson, Minnesota, yes. It's like kind of down past Mankato.
Okay.
Like in that area.
Nowhere near the Dells.
Nowhere near the Dells. Highway 60, I want to say.
Please tell me you guys listened to PA today when he had Bill Guerin on, and could you please react to the audio? It was classic Billy G. Are you familiar with this? Was there a Billy G meltdown? Was it...
All I heard was the intro, and then I got out of the car.
Oh.
He was doing Vox in the Box today.
What's he doing going on that show?
He's in Vox in the Box. He's available.
Well, then maybe it's time we start getting Finchy on.
Let's go down to Target Center.
Yeah. Although I don't know if today's the day.
Man.
My
wellness plan, by the way, is taking off. I'm like a wellness plan influencer
you're right.
now.
No, there's no question.
You won't believe the messages I've gotten about this. Lori Fisher should do my wellness plan as her latest wellness plan.
You just steer clear of it, so you can't. You don't give yourself a chance to be aggravated.
No.
By a pretty tenacious defensive performance by the Wolves last night. We gave up. Was it 183?
153.
153. Okay, I'm sorry. It felt like 183.
Kawhi was on pace to break Bam Adebayo's record.
Kawhi right now is the best player in basketball. I'm being serious. I'm not trying to get PST. Kawhi Leonard, now, this moment, he is the single best player in the NBA. Now, how long can it last, I don't know, but he's healthier. I heard him after, I think it was the Clippers broadcast early this morning from last night, sounding positively buoyant. You know, he's not exactly a dynamic interview, but they got him, and he was on cloud nine. It sounds like mainly because he feels this is the best his body has probably felt since he won a title in Toronto.
Yeah.
How far back is that? 5 years? How long ago was that?
2019?
6 years? Whatever it is.
I think it was 2019.
It's outstanding. So we are all on Kyler Conundrum Watch. We're ready to see if the purple will have to pivot. And believe me, at any point, that story could break. And as soon as it does, we'll find a way to react to it in real time. Because this isn't a podcast. It becomes a podcast after the show is over. But this is a live broadcast. There's no editing that can be done. It's not, we'll get to it later when we're done eating. We react in what we call in the business live time. That's the beauty of it, right?
I love it that way.
So if something emerges, and I have not seen anything from any of the principals who cover this team to advance the story, other than has anybody established that he is in the Twin Cities as has been speculated on?
I don't know if I've seen that officially. I think Pelissero last night said he was coming today. And the interesting nugget about that was he talked to his agent. He said he's also going to talk to like 5 teams about next year already.
Yeah.
Which that was interesting to me.
Well, that's why you got to worry about the Rams.
I know.
Because what if that call goes so good, he says, I'll sit a year.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
I know.
I'll learn on the job. I'll take what do they call it in the business, a gap year?
Yeah, redshirt season.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'll take over for, one of the top 5 coaches in the National Football League. I mean, take over as in playing for him, right?
It's a great idea.
I mean, to be honest with you, who's the Rams head coach?
Sean McVay.
If Sean McVay is intrigued by Kyler Murray, that's the first thing that might give me pause about my own skepticism about Kyler Murray. On the other hand, he's got a world-class quarterback already. Right. So it's a little easier for him to be haughty and maybe even play the game of, well, somewhere down the road, we'll experiment with him and maybe I can turn him into what he was supposed to be when he was a number 1 overall pick, correct?
Yeah.
Long time ago?
McVay worries me greatly. L.A. worries me greatly.
Yes.
What did Craig Kilborn tell us about, I think, an early Christmas when he moved out to Hollywood and he was playing basketball in 75-degree weather on Christmas Day?
What?
You're never going back.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I'm never going back. The hills, the weather. What else could you ask for?
Well, why would you? I mean, it's hard to argue with any of that. And then he spent some time in Northern California too, as I recall, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Oh, we talked about that. Apparently, Guerin referred to me as Don Barreiro or something like that. Is that true, Don Barreiro?
I don't know, but I like it. It's funny.
I've been called worse.
You can talk to him about it tomorrow when he joins on Enough Said.
When he's on Enough Said, because that's confirmed. He's doing the entire 30 minutes of Enough Said, Fox 9.
Got him his own seat and everything.
Tomorrow, yeah. So we're looking forward to that. The first segment is entirely devoted to an examination of Kash Patel, is what I was told. Kash Patel, in a way you've never heard of him or learned of him before.
Do you think he could get Patel to join us on the show? Could we add another box?
Well, then we got Zoom. Well, yeah, but then we got to worry about people boycotting. Is that worth it? Half the audience will want to boycott. The other half will be delighted.
Probably more than half.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
But maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd be a heck of a way to go out.
Rosen said on the program that Kyler is currently at TCO. Is he reporting that, or is he just speculating on it? I need reporting. I need somebody who's reporting it.
I don't
know how he put it.
The only part of comment today I heard with Rosen was more colonoscopy talk right at the top, and then I had some other things to do.
Okay.
So I missed that part.
Well, we'll get to the bottom of it, and if we get anything confirmed, we'll let you know. Did anybody track the plane?
I don't think so.
There wasn't So there's not as much buzz, it's fair to say.
There's not a Murray watch like you would hope.
There was with Favre.
No, which I would think is good.
Yeah, I think it's a sign of perspective.
Yes.
On the other hand, this is now. So you say, well, I mean,
we're probably more desperate now.
In a lot of ways we are, and people are still interested, whatever they think about that particular decision. All right, let's, you mentioned Craig Kilborn. He's going to join us next, and we'll find out if he attended either of the Wolves debacles in sunny Southern California, where, of course, he indeed resides. We'll get his view on Kyler Murray, and I have been told, before we wrap up with Kilborn, he is going to reveal for the first time around the world a major Craig Kilborn announcement.
Really?
Now, I don't want to oversell it and tell you he's returning to late night, because I don't think that's the case, but it's big. And it's been off the record until he makes it on the record on our program. Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line is open at 64686. Quick pause, and then Mr. Kilborn, and then I'll give you the rest of we call it the uglydeck.com guest lineup. It's outstanding today. In fact, we may have just added an extra guest. Guest lineup today, the uglydeck.com guest lineup will include at 5:30. Well, Dr. Dan's inbox, I guess you could say technically the listeners are the guests. They provide the material called by the producer of the broadcast. That's at 5:30. Russo Radio is scheduled for 5:15. If we go a little long, maybe we push the inbox back a bit. And we just added the redoubtable baseball writer extraordinaire, Kevin Kernan, longtime tabloid baseball writer. He's going to join us at 4:30 to talk about the World Baseball Classic and the near miss, although the U.S. is now in the quarterfinals. They got some help apparently last night, which I think we can all sleep easier for that reason. The question is whether our next guest slept at all last night. Given that for the second consecutive night in his Southern California, his favorite basketball team spit the bit. We're not really a factor. Craig Kilborn, have you slept or did you spend last night after the Clippers debacle tossing and turning?
Well, great to hear your voice, Dan.
Welcome back.
I hope you don't pass too much judgment on me. The score was 12-10 and I turned it off.
Wow. Now, what's that all about?
It's an art form, and I checked the score. I think we cut it to 3 or 5 at one point, down to, I think 9 at halftime. I'm fond of using the word debacle, and it was a debacle.
Yeah.
And they're playing poorly right now.
Are you know, one of the theories is those of us who live and die with pro basketball tend to overreact on the good end and the bad end to a team that, after all, did make it to the conference finals the last 2 years, and that we need to stop hyperventilating and let this thing play out. And I guess to a certain extent, trust in Finchie, trust in Anthony Edwards, and trust in the process. Is that where you are, or are you a little bit more concerned than that?
Well, I'm always concerned with the turnovers because I don't think some of the ball players are fundamentally sound when it comes to passing and ball handling, and I loathe turnovers. I'm a purist. I would like to say something to the fans about Chris Finch. I'm a Chris Finch fan.
Yes.
And we had a losing streak a while back of 5 games where we were dispirited. It didn't look good, and everyone was... It's easy to blame the coach, and this is my response. There are 2 things with the coach. Chuck Daly once said, eventually, the players get tired of hearing your voice. We're not there yet. We're not close to that. Finchie's the man. He's doing a good job. When the team is struggling, what would Michael Jordan do? What would Magic Johnson do? He would talk to his teammates and get them fired up. He would discipline them. I hate to say it, Dan, it all falls on the best player, Anthony Edwards.
Ooh, interesting.
He's a great player. He's got to cut down the turnovers. I don't know if he's capable of leading the way a Magic or Jordan can. And Jordan was different. Jordan was hard on his teammates. He wouldn't call Will Purdue Purdue. He called him Will Vanderbilt. He was tough on those guys.
Yes, he was.
But
he smacked who's the Golden State head coach? Steve Kerr in the face during practice.
He apologized.
He did eventually. I think 5 years later, he apologized.
Nothing zen about that.
No,
Phil Jackson.
No.
So it's a lot of it's on Ant. And I sadly had to go to the Laker game because some friend of mine had a suite with a private bartender.
Oh, nice.
And I had to go. And for some reason, I've been ordering Vespers instead of vodka martinis. Some people might know what a Vesper is. Invented by Ian Fleming in the book Casino Royale.
Oh, yeah.
Became a movie.
Yeah.
Half vodka, half gin. And Lillet Calais or some kind of, I don't know what it's called. Some French wine that's in there. So anywho, it's a rough patch. I would like to say, Dan, a lot of us are fired up about Ayo Dosunmu.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, really enjoyed that acquisition. And I said, we need a guard. He's not a true point guard, but doesn't turn it over too much. Good defender, shoots threes. I didn't know he was that fast.
He is fast.
And I said, we don't need Kobe White. We just need a really good ball player. We were talking about getting Colin Sexton, Colin Gillespie from the Suns. And when we traded him, I read some tweets from Chicago fans, and they were upset that Ayo wasn't there, including a tweet from David Axelrod, who's from Chicago.
Yep.
And he said, hey, Timberwolves fans, you just got a good one. He's a local guy from Chicago. We're going to miss him. David Axelrod.
Yeah, well, right now, 50% of our audience is annoyed with you.
Why is that?
Well, you know how that works. Axelrod. Well, of course, you quote a Democratic handler. Of course you would.
Right.
Right. Even though it has nothing to do with your point.
Later.
Yeah.
Churchill would like Dosunmu as well.
I'm with you on that. But let me stop you for a second here.
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering if very subtly you're calling out Johnny Athletic a little bit. Because in his most recent piece, Johnny Athletic did devote a couple of pretty pithy, direct, challenging paragraphs regarding the head coach. Saying that at some point, on the basis of these horrible starts, he's got to take some responsibility for the team starting as badly as it did. Now, I'm not saying he called for his head, but I'm wondering if was that your subtle attempt to needle or to counter Johnny devoting a little bit of time on the head coach, too?
Falls on Pablo Prigioni, John, first of all. It's kind of a microcosm of John's writing. Now, I don't know if you know this, Dan, but Johnny Athletic and I have a running joke, and it started last year when we were playing, Wolves playing at Milwaukee, 25-point lead. Bucks go into a zone in the fourth. We lose. And his first question to Finch, is this a microcosm of the season? So I said, Johnny, don't do the microcosm. And Finchy goes, we had a bad fourth quarter against a zone. It's not a microcosm.
Yes, I remember that.
Whenever there's a bad play, we text each other during the game. Microcosm.
That's pretty good. Well, look, I think there's a place for everybody to take some of the responsibility. But I will add this. You left out one item that I want us to explore. I have, from the moment Julius Randle got here, I have been all over the board on him. I've gone from rolling my eyes at him and saying it's never going to work if he's your second best player to, my God, maybe he's got another gear after all. Maybe this is the perfect place. Finchy has a good relationship with him. Maybe he's going to get something out of him consistently that others don't. And I'm still in that place where I change my mind every day. And he's not in a good frame offensively right now. And you know what that means, Craigers? That means he's not in a good place defensively. Because if his offense isn't going, he ain't guarding.
Yeah. He's mercurial. He's inconsistent and streaky. I guess I heard someone tell me that A-Rod is, he's kind of like ready for the postseason, and I'm ready for the postseason. I want to see how we play. But I remember a week or so ago, we moved up into third place. Now, again, they're separated by a game.
Right.
And I looked at the Rockets schedule, and then I looked at, which wasn't terrible. Then I looked at ours and I go, oh, boy.
Meat grinder. Yep.
We haven't even played Detroit. We're going to play them twice.
Yeah.
And we just completely blew it in the LA trip. So I honestly don't know what's going to happen. I'm prepared for anything, but I do like our team. I just don't understand it. And I don't know if you saw the first 2 minutes that I saw before I turned it off.
I did not. Was it like 5 straight turnovers?
Yeah, all they do.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if I was the opposing coach, I would just say, pressure these guys. Mm-hmm. Pressure the ball on the perimeter. They'll panic. So it's frustrating. But I still think, we're good, but we're a weird team.
That's a good way to put it. It's very true. It is a weird team. And as you know, as a basketball purist, they're continuing to try to make it work without a point guard. They've said, all right, we think Mike Conley's too long in the tooth. We don't really, the guy we sort of projected to be that guy didn't work out. We had to move him in the trade for Io. So we're not left with much other than saying to Anthony, it's a lot to put on your plate, but you got to be one of those scoring point guards and pretty much be in charge of everything. And to your point about the pressure, I think that's potentially going to make them vulnerable, maybe even more vulnerable than they've been in the postseason, because that's the right scouting report. You're right.
Yep.
Overplay, pressure them, because this team will turn the ball over, because none of those guys are, several of them can handle the ball, but none of them are really guys who are accustomed to that, or that really is, their greatest strength.
Yeah, it's I don't know how you teach these guys to handle the ball. I think we had 15 turnovers at halftime. I'm looking at the stats.
That's absurd, by the way.
And we only had 6 in the second half. So we only had 21 for the game.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, that didn't work. And by the way, I need help from the audience. You might not know details on this any more than the rest of us, because I didn't stay up for it. What was the fracas about after the game that seemed curious and kind of bizarre? Do you know?
No, I saw the headline and watched the video. They were showing Joe Ingles shaking hands with Kawhi Leonard.
Right.
And Kawhi goes, "Oh, there's a fight." And then Joe went there to mix it up. But they said something about the game ball.
The game ball.
Yeah, somebody wanted a game ball. Did someone hit a shot? Did Darius Garland, somebody wanted to give it to him? I have no clue. From the category, I'm not that interested. I'm just upset we lost the game.
Yeah.
But, where was that fight during the game, guys?
There's the cliche. By the way, did you stay for the whole Lakers game, despite the embarrassing nature of our performance?
Yeah, I barely watched. There were a bunch of friends up there. We were goofing off.
Any big names that we would recognize?
Yeah. No.
Any Hollywood stars?
In the suite?
Yeah.
There was a lady that you probably wouldn't know. She was an actress on Psych, and now she's on a Donnie Wahlberg show on CBS named Maggie Lawson.
Okay.
And she's been on my podcast, The Life Gorgeous, and she's a nice lady.
Okay.
And she was there. The weirdest thing was, after the game, we stayed in the suite for a while, and then it was time to get out of there. So it's right next to the Ritz-Carlton.
Ooh.
The Crypto.com. And I walked, I'm not going to get an Uber back right outside the Crypto.com. Mm-hmm. Someone said, just walk over to the Ritz and get an Uber.
Right.
So I walk over there, and there are these fans, this young couple from Australia that came all the way to see Ant. And they were there outside. They weren't waiting for an Uber. They were just waiting because the Wolves were staying there. I didn't know that. And all of a sudden, Rocco Jakarski, or whatever, the guy from Australia,
yes,
he starts striding into the hotel, and they go, Rocco, and they took a picture with him. So then I took a picture with him, and I just posted it on my Instagram stories today. And then Jaden McDaniels showed up. So I took a picture with him, and I smiled, and he didn't. And the music I used for my Instagram with him was Nat King Cole's "Smile," the Charlie Chaplin song.
Oh, nice song. Yeah. Good throwback.
Yeah.
Did you have lunch with any Wolves dignitaries and or Johnny Athletic? Because he's, of course, out there too, or has been.
No, he did. He did text me before the game and say, "Will you be there?" And I'll say, "Yeah, I'm here. I'm way up high in the suite."
Yeah.
And it was just terrible.
Not familiar.
The way we shot, but it was bad. We can be bad, Dan.
Yeah, we can. That's true. I don't even remember who do we play next. We stay on the road.
Warriors.
Right? Oh yeah, the Warriors.
Golden State.
That's right, Golden State. But Steph hasn't played in like 3 years, has he? I don't even know. Are they trying to miss the playoffs now? Have they just given up, given that buckets? Jimmy Butler's unavailable.
They traded for Porzingis,
and he hasn't played. I don't think, has he?
He's played a little bit.
And Kerr may have violated HIPAA laws in one of his press conferences, and he was speculating about his illness and why he wasn't playing. He had to apologize for it.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Kerr's too open sometimes.
Where are you on Kerr? Because, Kerr got hammered by your guy, Stephen A., for suggesting that if you really want to deal with, some of the issues, load management, tanking, etc., you go to fewer games, because he is a believer. There are a lot of people who believe this, that the pace of the game is such that the stress on the bodies, the heart, the head of players physically, not to mention mentally, is like never before. The old timers, many of them chafe at this, but that's what a lot of that's what he says. And he got ripped because, Smith did the old, well, I didn't see you guys, you're going to give some money back. And Kerr said, hey, look, I'm not an idiot. I get what you're saying here. I'm just telling you, watching this stuff, I think whether we want to accept it or not, and knowing we probably won't, that if I was in charge and I could wave a magic wand, I'd say let's go to, I don't know if he said 72 or 65 games, something like that. What'd you make of all that?
Well, I wasn't up on all that. I have heard other people propose 72 games, and I think it would help. The season is long.
I agree.
It will change, obviously, statistics and everything, but all-time statistics. But so did the three-pointer. But I would go 72 games, and I do believe that the coaches whose jobs are on the line and they make more money now, I do believe they play more defense, a little harder on defense than they did back in the day. And that Laker team, the Showtime Lakers, 87, when they won a few times, but that for the regular season, the entire team shot 52%. So I just don't think the defense was quite as intense.
Well, Kareem was still playing then towards the end, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that was part of it. He's always had a good percentage. That didn't hurt. Let Craigers know, this is from CJ in Minneapolis, that hearing Leah B. Olson on his podcast this week was a great get. She is a gem. Can you confirm?
Yeah, she's a nice lady.
She is.
It took a long time to get her on. A lot of these people, you got to go through
channels,
representation, and channels. And no, I'm kidding. She's great. I've known her a long time. And she said something. She did not remember this, but it made me laugh. I said, I quote you, when I had the invite to the training camp back in 2004, and I was 42 years old, and I pulled my back trying to get in shape for this camp. I played in a little scrimmage and some practice, and she interviewed me. And I said, how did it look? And she said, it looked like you used to play, which I thought was very funny. It looked like you used to play. And she does not remember saying that. And I said, no, it was funny. Remember that.
Very effective.
Yeah. By the way, did I mention to you, I have a big announcement later.
We're going to get to that later.
Show. You have such a packed show.
Oh.
So I don't know what's going to happen.
We'll figure it. We'll squeeze her in at some point. Okay. No question. But what I was going to say is, this is how far back I go with Leah B. Olson. When I first got to town, a writer who, I don't know if you ever met, Bob Sansevier, who covered the Vikings when I first got to town. He's still here doing some stuff. He was a very generous guy in terms of, because I didn't know hardly anybody here, hang out, go to places, hang out at his place. He had a place in Uptown, a fashionable townhome in Uptown, and he would hold these massive parties, which would also include like playing volleyball. There was a volleyball net set up sort of outside the area. I can't remember the name of the development. I don't even know if it's still there. And so, yeah, that's what we all do. Volleyball, Leah B, me, there's a bunch of us who were there. That's how far back I go. So we're talking there like the mid-'80s, 1980s.
Wow.
Long time. Well, actually late, 86, I guess it would be, if not a little after that. So, yeah, she's very good, does a great job on the air, and, has been around for a very long time. So I'm glad that went well. Is there anything else Wolves-wide or league-wide that Craig Kilborn has been itching to get into? I mean, do you want to weigh in on irresponsible tanking? Do you want to weigh in on, I am curious to know where you are on what I think is this nonsense that Io's obligation the other day was to stop before he got to Kobe Bryant's 81 points. I find that insulting and absurd, whatever I might think of how he ended up with the total number of points that he got, because it was goofy with all the free throws. But I'm curious to get if you have any views on all of that discussion.
Well, I think it's kind of weird and odd and silly that Bam is the guy that scored 83. It's like, I mean,
it is.
Cat could do that if you want to feed him, I guess.
Yeah.
But he's a more talented offensive player. And it's like that time, what's more unlikely, Bam Adebayo or Corey Brewer scoring 50 or 51, whatever he had?
It's a good question.
But I wasn't a Kobe fan. I didn't like his shot selection. I understand people like the killer instinct and the competitive nature. And he goes out, he scores 81. It's pretty cool. I don't know. I look at it where I'm older now. I watch so many NBA games, mostly the Wolves, that some of that stuff doesn't register. What I think is, I always look at, is there a dominant team or are there a bunch of good teams and we can play with anyone? And so I think about more, can we get to the Western Conference Finals and can we get past it this year? And, I thought OKC was really tough, and I still think in a 7-game series they'd have to be favored, but we can play with them. And I think we can play with the Spurs. So I'm really curious to see how we do in the playoffs. And I almost feel like the Wolves are looking forward to the playoffs too and not concentrating on each game right now.
That's the question. That's it. Sam, I think it's pronounced Amick from The Athletic, on Kobe. Maybe this reaction is rooted in nostalgia for Bryant's storied night against Toronto in Los Angeles on Jan 22, 2006, or the even deeper reflection that comes because of his tragic passing 14 years after that game. By virtue of human nature, his death puts greater weight on every one of his most cherished feats and creates a sense that they should be handled with a certain kind of care. And he writes, judging by the reaction of some of the people from Bryant's past who I was in touch with after Adebayo's outing, this sentiment was not unique. I again couldn't disagree with that more. That's not anybody's obligation. It's a terrible tragedy, obviously. We all know what that story is and what the whole Mamba mentality represented. But this notion, to me, it's patronizing. No one's going to forget about Kobe Bryant on the basis of Adebayo, ending up getting in an odd sort of set of circumstances, confluence of events, more points than him. And I don't even think he'd go for it, to be honest with you. I just think the whole thing is silly. It's almost bordering on the religious, and he's not a deity. It just doesn't make sense to me.
If it had been Kawhi Leonard who broke the record, Kobe's record, or Kevin Durant, it would have been received much better. But the Io thing, the Bam is just such a odd, just out of nowhere. And,
no question.
So that's kind of irritating. I'm not going to harp on you. I think where I stand on Kobe. I was on your show with Dave McMenamin, and he was the guy who understood that the LeBron is better than Kobe because not everybody in LA believes that.
Right.
And he was the one that said, well, what about against Tim Duncan? So he was looking for an advantage because he thinks Kobe's better than Duncan. And both you and I and others,
that's absurd,
have said, no, it's Tim Duncan. But Kobe, his fans are definitely fanatical. They really love him. I told you, I went to Musso and Frank. I don't do this anymore because Kobe has tragically passed early. So I don't do this, but I would just be so entertained. And I went to Musso and Frank. I got a martini at the bar, and I said to the bartenders, "Who's better, Kobe or LeBron?" And they said Kobe. And I said, "No, it's LeBron." And they mockingly took my drink away. I mean,
I don't remember that.
They really love Kobe out here.
Yeah. Well, some of that I get because it's out there. And then, as I said, it adds another layer, unfortunately, when he dies the way that he did as well. All right, here's what I want to do. I want to get a break in, and then I want to talk a little more NBA. Definitely get to, I need you to weigh in on Kyler Murray mania, and then we'll get to your big announcement as well. We got a lot of ground to cover with Craig Kilborn checking in for the first time in quite some time. Pause now, back in a minute. Indeed back with us. Big announcement coming, and a close circuit to I think it's 612 guy. It's not podcast related. See, people make these assumptions, Craig Kilborn, that they know, must be another podcast announcement. No, this is not podcast related.
I think it's bigger, Dan. Much bigger.
It's massive compared to, I mean, everybody's got a podcast. Everybody in the world has a podcast except me. So it's not that big of a deal at this point. Yeah. Let me introduce the Kyler conundrum with this text. This is from UPS guy checking in for the first time in years. Kyler is like a kid who needs a strict dad to keep him in line and on track. KOC is more like the dad that doesn't punish his kid when deserved. My hopes are not high if indeed this is the signing. It's an interesting observation, but it seems to almost to assume what everybody's assuming here among the Jackals, the media Jackals, that he's here right now, Kyler Murray, and that it's inevitable that the Vikings are going to sign him. Will you celebrate that signing, or will you be skeptical of it?
Initially skeptical. I'm going to hit you with a few different thoughts here. Quickly, just to go on the record, I've said it before. I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan. Aaron Rodgers, I wanted him last year on the Vikings, along with Dan Marino, the prettiest football ever thrown in the NFL. If he's at 70% of what he used to be, he's still pretty damn good.
I agree.
I also want to just tell you my issue with KOC, and then I'll talk about Kyler Murray. And I won't use the word Smurf, which I've seen people tweet about, and I don't like that. That's mocking his diminutive size.
By the way, who has a better BMI, KOC or Craig Kilborn?
I can't remember what a BMI is. What is that again?
It's something. It's body mass index, like like perfectly sculpted,
muscular, skinny.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can't remember, what am I? I think I'm an ectomorph. He's a mesomorph. He's more muscular. I saw him. I did not introduce myself. I saw him at the Lexus Club at a Wolves game. We're both 6'5". He's got at least 25 pounds on me. He's a bigger guy. Are you
saying he's bloated?
No, I'm like Danny Ainge in college.
Okay.
Danny Ainge was 6'5", 185. So was I. Now we're both 200. I think KOC is like 225. I mean, he looks pretty solid. I could be wrong. Maybe he's only 210, but he's strong. And my problem with KOC, I know we've talked about the marriage of run pass, but now I want to get specific with the pass. The long developing routes drive Kreggers up the wall. We won a game this year with Carson Wentz out of timeouts, marched down the field 9 for 9, hit Jordan Addison for a touchdown. And after the game, KOC said, you can't do that all. It's hard to go 12, 15 plays down for touchdown. You got to have some big chunk plays. And I'm saying, fine, but don't run them all the time. Pick and choose when you're going to have these long developing routes when you have a suspect or even a solid offensive line. So I need KOC to be better at the play calling, and we keep saying that. And he has run the ball more, but the long developing routes, I don't think he's satisfied when Carson Wentz throws dink passes and goes 9 for 9 and we win. I
agree with you. 100%. Yeah. So on Kyler, it's growing on you, would you say? Or do you say it's the best of not great options?
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely talented. And you talk about a guy, I think we all get frustrated with passes tipped at the line. I mean, whoa. And someone said that's why he moves so much. He's got to get the angle so it doesn't get tipped or not to bat it down at the line. But as of now, because I've been reading about it, it would kind of be, I don't know who else we'd get. So we better sign him and let's see how it goes.
So would you, in your heart of hearts, even though there's no sign they're headed this way, take another shot at A-Rod if for some reason?
It's one of those things where I'd kind of want to ask you, do you think I'm crazy?
No. Well, if you are, I am too. We may be on a limb because most people think I am crazy because I've been talking about it again this year, even though there's no indication that the flirtation that did take place, at least briefly last year, has been, repeated this time around.
Yeah, I watched him. I find myself, it's kind of weird. I watched him more now with the Steelers than I did when he was with the Packers. I also did that with Jordan on the Wizards. It was weird. Greatness at the end of their career. But I loved watching him pass. The quickest thing you'll ever see, they say he's a short pass merchant now or just the deep passes. Right. But I like him. It's not happening, but I like him.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. So where are you? I don't even remember where you were on J.J. McCarthy, to tell you the truth.
I felt he was he has potential. He's good, and I said I don't want him to start. I wanted Aaron Rodgers to start. He can sit another year, and now he can sit another year this year coming up. I think he might be a decent pro, and I sometimes say like, "Hey, Rich Gannon played for us, and then he left and became an MVP." He might play well for somebody else, but I would keep him. And I still think he might be pretty good. You still think he's got a chance? Yeah, but don't want him starting this coming season. So if you bring Kyler in, you're not bringing him in to compete? No. And my understanding is Kyler probably won't come here if he's going to come here to compete. That's my understanding. Yeah. Well, in a perfect world, I think he should have to compete, but maybe that's because I don't know how many other teams are left. To be honest, I don't know how many other, because it sounds like the other options are all where he would do the gap year and, for example, go to the Rams and sit and just enjoy himself and play behind, Stafford, and that with the assumption that Stafford is preparing for his final season. I just thought of something, and you're going to have to put on your producer hat. When I hosted the late night show, they told me, Worldwide Pants, Letterman's company, you're the de facto executive producer. Mm-hmm. So I know that Guardsy's the producer, and I just had this thought because I like to prepare for things. Let's say Craigers makes this big announcement on your show, but simultaneously, you guys get breaking news about Kyler Murray. How are you going to handle that? Oh, well, I'll leave it up to the producer of the program. Guardsy, how do we handle that? What would be the sequence there?
Sequence would be, we'll get to some breaking Kyler Murray news in a moment. But first, Craig Kilborn has this to say. Yeah. I think that's how we would do it. I'm getting emotional. You guys are the greatest. I was going to defer. Vikings are more important than me. He could be our Super Bowl quarterback. I was going to let him, that news to take precedent. But that is nice to hear, Guardsy. Yeah, and if it happened mid-segment, we'll react to it next segment. But Craigers, tell us a little bit more about Hancock Park. That wouldn't bother you, would it? I think that'd be fine. Yeah, I think we'd be okay with that. Well, we keep waiting. I mean, the assumption is it's going to be today, but maybe not because he's talking to these other teams, at least by Zoom. But I think most people are saying that he has spent the day at TCO. Now, remember, once upon a time, Jim Harbaugh spent the day at TCO, and he left without a job. He did, yeah. Remember that? Things turned. Oh, boy. Feels like a long time ago, doesn't it? We could have had Jim Harbaugh and Aaron Rodgers and Super Bowl #1 champions. You think those guys would have gotten along? Huh? Do you think they would have? I have no idea. It is a good question. I think they respect each other. I don't know. Yeah, you might be right about that. Yeah, although Harbaugh, I don't know. How do people still believe him out there, or are they starting to get a little bit frustrated that nothing's really happened much? I think once they've gotten to the postseason, Justin Herbert, the frustration. Yeah, in the playoffs. I think that's what it is. Yeah, that makes some sense. So if they're not going to do what you want, which is Rodgers, you'd rather have Kyler than, let's say, Kirk Cousins
or who's the former Derek Carr, the Raiders and Saints?
Oh, it's
QB?
funny. I wanted to ask you. I always assume, because you guys are so well rounded, that you watch more football than I do, and I've always liked Derek Carr. Mm-hmm. I always liked the way he moved, and I think he's a bit of a gunslinger, isn't he? And
he has been, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think of him? I like him.
Well, I'll put it this way. I always was intrigued with him, but then I never felt I got the payoff I expected he represented. So You're back to the same thing with Kyler, you could say. Is that a function of he's not as good as I thought, or is that a function of bad infrastructure around him? That's always the question, right? Which is it? I don't know. Here, look, if they bring Kyler in, obviously, now you got it. It's got to be a clean slate at that point. I don't know. He strikes me as one of those guys. The more you see him, the more you get exasperated by him. And in other words, he can make some plays where you go, God, that was good. But then there's these 6 straight other plays, less spectacular, where you just want him to be quarterback. You just want him to make the right play, and he doesn't always do it. So I don't know. I mean, is he better at this point than JJ? Yeah, you are probably better than JJ McCarthy at this moment at the quarterback position. But there's a part of me that says, well, if I admit it.
Check down. I'm just going to check down. I'm going to check down.
That's it.
Get rid of the ball.
That's legal. I'm pouting probably too much about A-Raj. I probably am. And even though, again, statistically, he was not that much better than Kyler. Kyler only played 5 games where he got hurt this time and then he got benched. Right. But it wasn't like A-Raj was statistically wonderful, Right. But we'll see. All right, so big announcement is not podcast related, although it could be, right?
Are we teasing it after the break?
Oh, yeah, we should do one more break. That's what we want. We might as well milk it for one more segment. Yeah.
This is a dream for young Craigers.
This is big. Now, I will say this. If during this brief message period, the Kyler Murray story breaks, we might have to get back to you tomorrow.
Just text us the announcement. 64686. Let us know what the announcement is.
You'd be okay with that, wouldn't you?
I think there's a local radio station in Hastings I could announce it.
I bet you could.
I don't know if they're still there, though.
I bet you could. I'm sure they are. All right, let's get one more pause in, and Craig Kilborn with a massive announcement that is not podcast related. Kevin Kernan coming up at 4:30. Russo Radio at 5:15. Dr. Dan's Inbox at 5:30.